Are giant ground sloths responsible for the spread of avocados? Turns out probably not. That idea traces back to a couple of different papers in the 1980s suggesting that the only thing capable of spreading the seeds of avocados, which are so large, would have been giant ground sloths. There's a few different ways we can look at evidence for the potential of these guys spreading seeds. My favorite, of course, would be to look at their fossilized dung, right? Coprolites. Turns out those don't seem to show any avocado pits. They seem to show a lot more branches and leaves. If we take a look at the teeth of these, this is actually just a partial half of a tooth. They've got these cusps on here which seem to show these guys are probably primarily grazers and browsers more than anything. They're eating leaves, sometimes grasses, twigs, things like that. And that evidence is again borne out by the coprolites. They find lots of evidence of grasses. They don't find really any evidence for the family that includes avocados, the laurel family. We can look also potentially at a number of different isotopes, sometimes in their teeth or in their bones for the different things that they may have eaten. Again, it seems to suggest, again, primarily leaves and grasses. There is one sloth in South America, Mylodon darwinii, Darwin's ground sloth, that seems to show some possibility of it actually eating meat. There's some evidence possibly of carnivory, but looking at these animals, I'm a little bit suspicious that that's probably maybe scavenging and not so much hunting. They're probably eating up meat opportunistically when they can come across it, rather than hunting down other animals for the kill, so to speak. These aren't very fast movers generally. And then finally, we can look at avocados themselves. It turns out when we look at them in the paleontological record, if you go back 10,000 years ago, avocados weren't that huge. At least their pits were only about 2 centimeters. It's a little bit less than an inch across, so much smaller than the avocado pits that we're familiar with today. Those only really show up after people show up. It turns out the large avocado pits that we are familiar with are probably the product of human domestication more than anything. So we can't really thank these guys for the fact that we have avocados today. We can thank the Mesoamericans.